And welcome everybody to the 108th episode of the Fact Is podcast. We are your host, Nate Moses.
And I'm Ryan Mays.
Thank you everybody for joining us tonight. Tonight, episode 108 is going to be a little more meaningful, at least for me. So going into 2023, it did not start out correctly. I lost what I would consider my best friend. I have plenty of friends out there, but this individual, he ended up calling me close to every day, was talking to me about the podcast, talking to me about what he did. He was a coach, he was a teacher, he was a fantastic man. And if I can live to be a fraction of what he was as a man, I would say my life was successful. So just wanted to pay a little bit of a tribute to my best friend, Seth. He's unfortunately passed away and no longer with us today. And, just kind of want to start the episode out like that because he was a big supporter. He was always there watching us and helping me out with he would criticize me and he would tell me where I needed to improve and where I could do better. Constructive criticism was one of the things that we did with each other. So we were open, we were honest, we had great conversations, and he will be severely missed for the rest of my life. So just wanted to throw that out there. So thank you all for everybody who did join in tonight. Wanted to make sure I got that out there. Like I said, rest in peace to Seth. And if y'all got a second, let's take a quick 5-second moment of silence for that. And thank you. All right, let's start this episode off. All right, so episode 108. It has been a while because we last week, of course, we didn't go live, but we have this week. And we have to cover about 2 weeks worth of stuff. So here we are in 2023, and it is kicking off just how we all expected, with a bunch of crazy crap happening like always. So a couple of wild things that we're noticing. Let's just touch up on the subjects we're going to talk about tonight. Biden visiting the U.S.-Mexico border as immigration becomes a big talk recently. A special counsel decision looms over Biden's document probe. So if you all didn't hear, Biden also kept classified documents, kind of like Trump, and I don't see any FBI raiding his home, so we'll talk about that. What we need to know about Kevin McCarthy concession to become the Speaker, the House Speaker, so we will be talking about that as well. We also are going to be talking about George Santos refusing to resign despite political pressure. And this is just great. Love our healthcare system. New guidance: use drugs and surgery early for obesity in children. Not like a healthy diet or anything natural. Let's just switch to drugs and surgery. But we'll go over all that within time. But Stuart, Ryan, how we doing today? How's life been over the past 2 weeks?
Doing good, man.
Doing good.
Yeah.
Love to hear it. 2023, pretty good for you so far.
So far.
Yeah. Reset. Yeah, listen to Jocko. What about you, Ryan? How you doing so far?
I've been terrible.
Terrible? Why?
No, I'm just kidding. Great start to the year so far.
Yeah.
Just a lot of good things happening in a lot of different places in my life. So I am proud to announce that I am expecting a little baby boy.
Yeah, buddy. Congratulations. I love it.
Yeah. My wife is really upset with me because I keep calling him Patriot. We'll see how this shakes down.
Little Patriot.
I do. I told her, I was like, if he's born on the 4th of July, I reserve the right to name him Patriot.
Oh, 100%.
And she was like, I can't necessarily argue with it. I was like, think about it like this. It's like the odds of like hitting the lottery.
Right.
Because we're actually due on the 23rd of June.
So I was gonna ask, when is the due date? 23rd of June. Maybe it gets kicked back till 4th of July. Little baby
that's
Patriot.
What I'm saying, little Patriot, little Patriot freedom.
Yeah, I love it. Freedom.
What? The only thing bad about that though is like if I name my son Patriot Freedom,
right?
Which I would never actually do. But if I did, I would doom him to a life of like Congressional Medal of Honor.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, like could you imagine what the drill sergeants would say?
Oh,
Patriot, who named you Patriot, boy? Get down and give me 500.
Going right into the military.
Oh yeah, he's doomed to the life of military.
Oh, he'd have to be. Yeah, he'd have to become president and everything. I mean, with that name,
4-star general, like.
Oh, absolutely. Well,
4-star general, Patriot Mays.
congratulations. I'd imagine when that pops up, of course, you're going to go on some sort of leave for a while. So,
Actually, it's really cool. The place that I work just instituted a 2-week paternity leave.
oh, that's really nice.
Yeah. So, as a father or as a mother, mother obviously they get FMLA and all that stuff too. But yeah, as a father in my company, you get a 2-week paternity leave.
That's incredible.
I am so stoked about that.
Yeah, I was going to say, it gives you time
Because the first 2 weeks are always the hardest.
Oh, yeah.
I've got 2 other kids. Like the first 2 weeks is tough. And then after that, you kind of hit your groove.
Yeah, exactly.
So it'll be a great time for me to be home with the wife and just doing our thing.
Well, good. Glad to hear it. So, well, good. I'm glad everybody's doing well going into 2023. But without further ado, let's jump right into our topics for the day. So, first, let's talk about Biden visiting the U.S.-Mexico border as immigration issue heats up. Also, for anybody who hasn't, check out Project Veritas and what they have to say about Biden visiting the border, because realistically, he didn't do as much as he should have. President Joe Biden visited the U.S.-Mexico border on Sunday for the first time since taking office, tackling one of the most politically charged issues in the country as he prepares for an election bid. Accompanied by Border Patrol agents, Biden toured a section of the wall that divides the two countries, a signature priority of the Republican predecessor Donald Trump, in an effort to demonstrate that he was taking the issue seriously. Biden on Thursday said his administration would tighten immigration enforcement by blocking Cuban, Haitian, and Nicaraguan migrants at the border, expanding the nationalities of those who can be expelled back to Mexico. But that has not impressed Republicans like Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who accused him of failing to enforce immigration laws. You have violated your constitutional obligation to defend the states against invasion through faithful execution of federal laws. Abbott, a possible 2024 presidential candidate, wrote in a letter he handed to Biden upon his arrival in the state. Biden told reporters he had not yet read the letter. Joined by Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas, the president also visited the Bridge of the Americas, which connects the United States and Mexico, and viewed equipment that border officials use to detect illegal drugs. Biden hopes to strengthen relations with Border Patrol agents, some of whom have bristled at the rollback of hardline enforcement policies by the White House. The long-term goal of Congress reforming America's creaky immigration system is unlikely to succeed, given Republicans' control of the U.S. representatives. Right-wing lawmakers have repeatedly torpedoed U.S. immigration reform proposals over the past 2 decades. Biden sent Congress an immigration reform plan on his first day in the office 2 years ago, but it floundered due to opposition from the Republicans, who also blocked his request for $3.5 billion to border enforcement. So, we can just keep going on and on and on. One of the cool things is, Stu, if you can pull it up, the 18 pictures that you have to share, just kind of looking at him walking the border and, doing the handshakes and stuff there. It gives you an idea of what that looks like. That's kind of cool. But, ultimately, when it comes to the border issues, again, it's going to be left versus right. One wants more lenient policies, one wants stricter policies. It's never really going to come to a solution as long as they continue to argue about it. But I don't know, guys. What are your all thoughts about this? Because with the border issues, just going strictly opinion based at this point, the border issue has been something that has never been satisfactory for anybody. I would say ever since the start of this country. It's been such a rough debate because I do believe this country is made off of the backs of immigrants, including us. We're all from different countries as well. The only true Americans were Native Americans, but the border issue is hard to talk about, the immigration issue, because we want people to come into America legally and to be able to follow the right process. But when you make that process really difficult, what do you do? So and these people are fighting for their families.
Yeah, and I've been blessed with the opportunity to really deal with a lot of people in my current role from a lot of different backgrounds and a lot of international people.
Love it.
I love them.
Yeah.
I mean, I really do. I have to say, some of the best people that I've ever met
Oh yeah.
are immigrants to the country. And while I don't necessarily agree with just opening up the border and just letting people pour through, I think there is a process, and I think that there is a set of rules that need to be followed to ensure that people coming here are going to be contributing members to society and are going to make America better, not necessarily worse. Because obviously, you know, you have your good people, but you also have bad apples that are trying to get across too, especially the Mexican border. A lot of cartel, a lot of drugs, you know, pour in through that border. So obviously there has to be some kind of security. There has to be some kind of system in place that prevents that kind of thing.
We can agree on that.
Yeah. But with that being said, Nath, you're absolutely right. America was founded by immigrants. It's been built by immigrants, and it will continue to live on through immigrants.
Yeah.
That's what we are as Americans. We are the melting pot. And, you know, I used to have a much harsher stance about this. However, getting to meet people from all these different nationalities and different places has really opened my eyes up to, man, they're good people, who unfortunately got dealt a bad hand to start their lives. And, you know, they're leaving a bad situation to try to find a better situation for their family. And, you know, I sympathize and empathize with those people, because I would go to the ends of hell to try to improve my family's situation.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I have to, you know, full-heartedly believe that these people that are trying to get across this border are absolutely trying to do so to better their family. With the small percentage of drug runners and, you know, those people. So yeah, it's such a weird topic, because you have on one hand border security. We do need that. But then you also have on the other hand the point we've both made, you know, this country's been built by immigrants. So it's like, where do you draw the line?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I mean, it's difficult. Like you said, with the policies, you want to make sure people are coming in the correct way. But at the same time, when you have policymakers that can barely ever agree on anything, I mean, what's going to change? You know, as long as you keep bouncing back and forth. I do like Wendy's comment, though, that this was a photo op. I do agree that this was more of just a photo op thing, just him kind of showing up like, oh, hey, I'm here at the border, yada, yada. I mean, I definitely will agree with that. Yeah, finally. Or like Kamala Harris when they were asking if she ever visited the border, and she was like, I have been to the border, and she literally has never been to the border. But yeah, it's so, you know, it was probably more a photo op than anything, but, you know, he did go, and that's just kind of what we're trying to highlight here. But I mean, again, with these policymakers who just go back and forth on each other, what's ever going to get done? You know?
And, you know, another interesting statistic that I would like to point out is birth rates are declining in America.
They are. They're declining around the world.
Yeah. And right now, I think we're actually losing more people per year than what we're creating. So there is a much larger issue at hand here. If we don't have that immigration, our entire economy could collapse, which would then mean the death of America.
Right.
So, you know, there's definitely a need for these people. But again, let's do it the right way.
Right. Yeah. And I agree with that. So we'll of course touch back up on this topic as it continues to become.
I have a couple things to say.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's hear
it. The first thing is the Title 42 policy that was put in place by Trump. They're keeping that, and then I'm pretty sure Biden is like doubling down on that, like he's adding to it.
Okay.
So I think they both want the same thing, Democrats and Republicans, it seems. Right. So they're keeping this policy. That's something to look out for.
You can't just have a flood.
Also, I would look into like these countries that are fleeing. And I'm pretty sure we have sanctions on a lot of them. I mean, we don't help in that aspect.
Right.
And then what I understand is there's like what's the asylum laws or something? I'd have to look into them, but there's something with the asylum law that these people can seek asylum and they have like this court date, but then there's like all this backlog of people, and that was, I think, introduced from the left. They want more judges so like they can go to these hearings.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, it gets shot down.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, so like I know some people again who have come over from these countries, and I mean it can take upwards of like 5 years for people to get their to get their green card to be able to come into the U.S. And it's just it's such a lengthy process. You know, there's a lot of issues behind it. And,
Well, these asylum seekers are in the U.S. waiting for their court date.
Yeah.
Interesting. So where are they holding them?
They're not. They're just turning them loose.
Into the U.S.
And I guess the ones down there's like camps. There's some that are down at the border, right? But then, I mean, yeah, there's migrants that get bused to different areas. Yeah, there's like this big backlog of people waiting to go to court, but there's not enough judges, so it just creates a mess.
Right. That's interesting. Yeah, I didn't realize that. But what I can say is just to the immigration laws, you know, we definitely need to combat them. We need to do better. And we need to find a way to make it work.
Here's something. How about common sense immigration laws?
Kind of like common sense gun laws, yeah.
You want to talk about common sense gun laws? Let's talk about common sense immigration laws.
I'd like to go through the process on how to.
Me too, actually. I would like to go through and see what it's like. Like I said, I've been blessed with the opportunity to talk to a lot of international people here lately.
Right.
And you know, whenever I hear that somebody just got their citizenship, like, oh man, we throw like a little miniature party in the office for them. You know, it's like, oh dude, that's so awesome. You know, like. And they're so proud. That's the other thing, is they're so proud to have gained their citizenship, to be an American, to be a part of this great country.
They are.
And, you know, if everybody looked at our country and through like the eyes of an immigrant who comes from maybe nothing. I mean, some of them maybe come from great situations. Some of them, I would venture to say that if their situation is great, they're probably not leaving where they're at. So, you know, if we all looked at the country through the like what's the filter through the filter of like an immigrant, how much more would we appreciate what we have here?
Yeah, and I think, you know, so like that's the other part is like when you talk to immigrants about how much this country means to them and how much they appreciate being able to come here, it makes you appreciate your own country a little bit more.
It makes me want to wear that American flag like a cape, like an American man or something.
Because it's like an American or something. Yeah, but no, seriously, it's incredible to hear their stories and what they think.
Oh yeah.
So Manuel comes in talking about. The asylum process is so complicated. It's long, and there's a lot of hoops to jump through. And there's about 2 million case backlog.
Good God.
Which doesn't shock me. But now, with that backlog, are they strictly going through, and I don't know the answer to this question, are they strictly going through like one court? Is there any way they could spread it across courts across the country to kind of make it easier?
I think that's part of what the bus situation was. I mean, I know it was a political move, but I also think it's trying to get them to these refugee cities, these sanctioned cities, so that they can go through the process maybe a little smoother.
Right.
I am not 100% on that, so please don't quote me on that.
No, yeah, I hear that. But that was the thing is, you know, Manuel mentioning that, I wonder if...
2 million cases, good Lord.
Because if you ask one court to, like, try to...
There's no way.
No, there's no chance.
There's no way. And,
yeah, no wonder it takes 5 years for one person to get through.
I'm surprised it's only 5 years.
Yeah, no joke.
With 2 million in the backlog, good Lord.
But I mean, they have to find a way to be able to make that a faster process. You know, I mean, especially only when you're an American citizen, you have the right to a speedy trial. But yeah. So let's hope they find solutions there. But any other touching points up on the border? We kind of touch it all pretty well.
I think we hit that one. I think we crossed that line.
It's definitely a political stunt, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Visiting the border was.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because, I mean, visiting the border was a political stunt, but you know.
I will say that now, if he decides to actually try to do something about it, then I'll change my stance on this. But as of right now, yeah, absolutely a political stunt.
Right.
He is doing something about it, technically. Doubling down on Title 42.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, he's following the same things that Trump put into place. So, I mean, yeah, he is doing something about it. I don't know if it's not necessarily what he campaigns off of, but it's,
Right.
well, I mean, he's doing something, I guess, but that's the other funny part is like,
It hasn't
again,
worked up to this point, so
This photo op makes it seem like he's more
cares.
caring and really
Welcome to
he's
politics.
Just, yeah, right. So
My question is, did he even know where he was?
just walking around shaking hands.
Where are all these people? Are they in Delaware?
Well, Delaware. Well, so here comes the fun part where we get to talk about special counsel decision, which looms over the Biden document probe. So, just like Trump, there was classified documents found at Biden residence. So let's talk about that. So Attorney General Merrick Garland will eventually have to decide whether to appoint a special counsel on the Biden classified documents probe while leaning on guidance from a Trump-appointed U.S. attorney. So Garland's reported decision to assign the case to U.S. Attorney John Losh could help insulate the investigation from accusations of political bias, especially if the outcome involves no findings from criminal wrongdoing. Losh's assignment is to conduct an initial facts-based investigation to better inform Garland's decision about a potential special counsel. A small number of documents from Biden's time as vice president were found in a locked closet at the Penn Biden Center, which Biden periodically used from mid-2017 until the start of his 2020 campaign. Biden told reporters Tuesday evening that he was surprised to learn about the discovery of the government documents at his office and does not know what the documents contain in his office. I apologize. But either way, doesn't matter. People know I take classified documents, classified information seriously. He's fully cooperating fully, and that his lawyers did what they should have done by immediately contacting the National Archives. So some key facts distinguishing the probe from Special Counsel Jack Smith's investigation of former President Trump's mishandling of classified documents, which resulted in a court-authorized search of the Mar-a-Lago by FBI agents in August. But any perceived double standard will bring intense scrutiny on the Justice Department, especially from the House Republicans who on Tuesday established a new subcommittee to investigate the weaponization of government. House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer launched an investigation Tuesday as one of his first acts as the GOP majority, specifically calling attention to the National Archives' treatment of Trump. If it weren't for the Trump investigations, DOJ likely wouldn't have been even doing a preliminary inquiry. If the facts are as they are presented to date, then the preliminary inquiry would probably end without ever morphing into a criminal investigation. Matt Miller, a former DOJ spokesperson, told Axios. The White House wouldn't specifically comment on why it waited until now to reveal the classified documents that were turned over in November, 2 days before the midterms. There's your answer.
Oh, I wonder why.
There's your answer. And this is an ongoing process under review by DOJ, so we are going to be limited in what we can say at this time, but we are committed to doing this the right way, and we will provide further details when and as appropriate. The outcomes, so several former federal prosecutors say could involve disciplinary action handled by the administration level. For instance, loss of security clearance for an individual or an annotation in an employee's records that makes it harder to receive clearance.
Quick question.
Go ahead.
Can a president lose a security clearance while in office?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Because, I mean, if they're talking about loss of security clearance, it was at his residence. He was the one that did it. Shouldn't he be the one that loses his security clearance?
You would think.
But, I mean, obviously he can't because of everything he's got to take care of as the president. But
he was vice president, too, when this happened.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? So, things to consider.
That's how the cookie crumbles.
And that's how the cookie crumbles, right? So, yeah, I mean, they definitely need to treat this just like they would have with President Trump. Like they invaded his Mar-a-Lago estates. They should right now go into where they found these documents by Biden. They should confiscate them. They should do everything they did with Trump.
Raid it even in the middle of the night.
Yeah, and even then, they should have done this 2 days before the midterms.
Yep.
They didn't do it in a timely manner. So right there, that calls for an investigation.
Yep.
Why didn't you do it immediately? Why is this now news when we're looking at what? 2-3 months ahead of when you actually found that information?
Yeah, and this is one of those things where you hope that the committee that the new Congress is setting up to oversight, the weaponization of different government offices, and you hope that this is an investigation that is launched and there is questions that people have to answer for this.
Now what's scary is now the government's going to start turning on itself. So now the government's going to investigate the government to make sure they're not weaponizing any of the government. I mean, what?
I've been waiting for this day.
Like, what is going on anymore? I'm so...
all I can think of when I think of government right now is that Spider-Man comic where it's like him pointing at himself.
They're all pointing at each other.
Like, wait a minute, you!
Yeah. So Dean asked, wouldn't he just be impeached by Congress due to crimes? I assume so. But at the same time, I don't know.
Think it's a crime, is it?
I mean, because so according to how Donald Trump, got away with this, or how he was cleared, was because it's not a crime to withhold documentation.
I'm pretty sure a lot of presidents have done this.
And a lot of presidents have done it. So, I mean, I guess it's not as big of a deal, but at the same time, it definitely should have been brought up.
Seems like every president gets off for it.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I guess the most frustrating part about all this is that the information was withheld until now. Regardless of whether he's guilty or whatever.
It's weird, like, the documents that Trump had and then the ones that Biden have, why do they keep them? Do they intentionally mean to keep them? What's in the documents? It's just interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. It is an interesting situation, but we will, of course, keep on top of this as well. Unless anybody has any other touching points, I'm ready to move on to the next one. But we'll definitely keep up again with any of the classified documents, what they contained, and necessarily what his punishment will be. So
yeah, I mean, I agree. They definitely need to stay consistent with how they treated Trump, and be consistent.
Yeah, be consistent. So that's the best thing you can.
Wait a minute. Here's kind of a fun fact. So, out of the presidents that have been impeached, you have Andrew Johnson, Bill Clinton, and Donald Trump. 2 out of those 3 are Democrats. And then I believe Richard Nixon was a Democrat as well, right?
Nixon was Republican, wasn't he?
Was he?
Yeah.
What was Nixon a Republican?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's interesting also. But
Donald Trump's been impeached twice in one term.
That is funny.
He's gonna be a record holder forever. That's so funny.
So Manuel actually came in and said the difference is that Trump and his team withheld the document from authorities. I mean, did he withhold them, or because once he got raided, they were immediately confiscated. So I don't know. I don't know if he necessarily, because
I think he had some moved though.
According to him,
he didn't turn them all over. Or no, that's why they raided him, because
he didn't turn them all over. But
there's this ongoing investigation, and the lawyer said that he had turned in all the documents, but he didn't. So that's why they raided him. That's the story anyway.
Okay, okay. So that's what that story is. Okay, so
what's happening with that? Has he been charged with anything with that, or is it just gone away?
It's not. From my understanding, it's not illegal to have that documentation, being that you were a president. So
and the last I had heard is that Trump was fully cooperating, wasn't he?
Yeah, as far as I know, and he, turned it all over to his lawyers basically and said that. Now granted, I don't know if Trump himself was the one that was withholding the documents. Of course, that's. If he was withholding documents, then yes, that needs to be punishable as well. But
absolutely,
Biden having documents there. So, and now the question, because didn't they just recently actually find out there was a second part to all this as well, that there was more documents that he had withheld?
Manny just answered our question. There's a special counsel looking into it, gathering information right now.
Well,
thanks, Manny.
So then at the same time, Biden would have to be held accountable because they just recently found another round of paper of documents that he was withholding. We were just talking about that before we started up. So So if that's the case, that's not really a difference. I mean, that both Trump and Biden have withheld, because if they found this 2 months ago and now they're just finding another second round of documents, that to me sounds like you're withholding information as well. And not
Sounds like a raid's
cooperating.
necessary to see if there's anything else.
I mean, if you're going to stay consistent, again.
Weaponization of government offices.
Yeah. So if you're going to stay consistent, then I mean, whatever they find on Biden for this second round of documentation should be held as, accountable as well. But if there's special counsel looking into it, then we'll follow up with those special counsels. It's just, you don't hear it. Like, the news dies until it becomes a big deal again, you know?
Yeah. I guess we'll have to circle back on that.
Yeah, circle back. We'll touch base.
As my favorite press secretary would say.
Yeah.
Unless they
Circle
don't,
back.
unless they don't have something like super secret or super, that endangers the U.S. and its safety, I don't see like a big deal.
You know what? If either of them were withholding documents about aliens,
Now I'm going to be pissed.
I'm gonna be so upset.
I want to know
I'd be
about
so
the
upset. I had to turn the hat around on that one because, boys, I'm gonna be upset.
I want to know about them aliens.
Some aliens
Oh,
and the frogs.
Okay, for all. Alex
Also,
Jones.
speaking of aliens and frogs, never mind. That's gonna take us down a whole route.
Yeah, let's not go down a
I was
whole
gonna go
other
into the psychedelic, like the dark elves and everything. That's actually being proven. Like that's a consistent like thing that's happening now with people who use psychedelics.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We need to talk about that one day.
Alex Jones is right. Check mark number 1092.
Let's talk about Kevin McCarthy becoming House Speaker. Yeah, so GOP leader Kevin McCarthy struck a deal last week that, after days of a stalemate in his bid to speaker, swayed even his staunchest critics. What a word, staunchest.
The only reason he got it is because they stayed their vote. They didn't even vote.
And they basically said in a clause, like,
I'll never
we can
vote for
pull
you.
you, like, we can pull you away from this position at any time. So. McCarthy for weeks has been making concessions to win over his most hardline conservative colleagues. McCarthy clinched the speakership in the House early on Saturday morning on the 15th vote. Here are some of the key concessions McCarthy made that finally got him this deal as speaker. McCarthy agreed to lower the number of members needed to call for a motion to vacate the speaker's chair down to 1. McCarthy previously proposed that 5 members could call for a motion to vacate. It also included a rule that says any move to raise the debt ceiling must also be accompanied by spending cuts.
Hey, I'm cool with that.
I'm kind of cool with that. The rules package includes a resolution establishing a House Select Committee on the weaponization of the federal government.
After seeing all the files dropping from Twitter,
I'm cool with that.
Completely on board with that.
McCarthy also agreed to vote individually on 12 appropriation bills rather than one omnibus spending bill.
Cool with that.
The package also reinstates the Holman Rule, which lets lawmakers amend appropriations legislation and reduce the salary of government officials. Not mad about that either.
Nope.
It also gives lawmakers 72 hours to review bills before they come to the House floor. I doubt they can read all of it, but at least they can get some
72 hours.
information.
I mean, if you have a whole staff
if you had a
looking
whole
into
staff
it,
going into it, that's a good point.
That should be plenty of time to at least get the gist.
Yeah, and then the rules
which
package,
is way better than now.
Yeah, I mean, way better than right now. But the rules package also includes votes on bills relating to key sticking points for conservative lawmakers, including on border security, abortion areas. That's going to undermine the health, the safety, and well-being of American people. Jeffries on NBC Press. It may undermine national security and robust defense, and undermine our ability to actually advance an agenda that is anchored in kitchen table, pocketbook issues, and not extremism. The House is set to vote Monday on the rules package, and some Republican lawmakers have already signaled their intention to oppose it. I don't know why. I mean, that sounds pretty good to me. Like those rules sound pretty solid, if you ask me.
Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries criticized the concessions and said that American people will go captive over the next 2 years to extreme Republican agenda.
Right.
What about those amendments there, or those concessions, sound bad?
I mean, I haven't.
I know Manny is like a government guy. So, Manny, do you hear anything in that you disagree with? Because to me, as just a casual, I would call myself casual. I'm not a political science major or anything like that. I'm not like deep diving the government or how it works. But as a casual citizen who just I would say pays a little more attention to this stuff
than the average.
Yeah, that sounds all pretty common sense to me.
I was gonna say none of that really sounded bad. It didn't sound like extremism or nothing of that sort.
The only thing on there that I could see maybe getting out of hand is it only taking one person to make a motion to vacate
McCarthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that, I mean, okay, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, what's his name, Chip Roy.
Yeah.
Any of those guys, like, just all of a sudden McCarthy says, you need to pee in the urinal, and he's like, nope, get this guy out of here.
I'd be cool with like maybe not 5 but 3, but like I think 1 is a little
maybe
crazy.
more than 1, less than 5, I would say. But you have to. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, because like Manuel said, the concessions made weaken the speakership. So McCarthy put himself, which makes sense, right? So like McCarthy was really fighting for himself, and if I'm not mistaken, he's got a long history with Trump. They've backed each other. There's yada yada whatever. But I can't see where any of this is necessarily bad, except for the one thing. Like I could see 5 going, instead of 1 person, I could see going to 3. But
the one person is the only one on that list that didn't really make sense to me.
Yeah, because I mean, cutting government paychecks, being able to look into
Reading
our government
bills?
with the Twitter files, being able to read the bills.
Wow.
I mean,
like not having a 4,000-page document dropped on your desk at 1 a.m. Like,
yeah.
That sounds pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah. So
and then having to vote on it the next day.
If I'm not, so who and Manuel, correct me if I'm wrong, but who actually came up with these rules? Was it like
Here, go ahead.
No, I just don't know who came up
Freedom
with these rules.
Caucus.
The Freedom Caucus.
Yeah, the Freedom Caucus is the ones that. So, and I was actually listening to Tim Pool the other day, and Lauren Boebert was on with. It was somebody else, but they were talking about her interview with him.
Right.
And she was talking about how this all came about. And this was something in the summer that they had approached McCarthy about and said, hey, these are some things we'd like to try to bring to the table. And McCarthy laughed her out of the office.
Right.
And then it was, because McCarthy was expecting this huge red wave. The red wave didn't come, and now all of a sudden he was looking at them like, oh, crap, I need their votes.
Right.
So that's where all these concessions now at the last minute started coming from. So I don't feel bad for McCarthy about this at all. I think he brought this on himself, and I think that if he wasn't so pompous, maybe he would have had the votes necessary earlier if he would have struck deals back in the summer.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I don't think that they were asking for as much back in the summer when they approached him.
Right.
So it's based on what Lauren was saying, Congresswoman Boebert.
Right.
Yeah. So it sounds to me like he did this to himself. It sounds like exactly what Manny just said, that he was obsessed with the title of Mr. Speaker. Now that being said, he's got to tread a little softer.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because one person can make the motion to vacate. So
and you're automatically out.
So now does Congress start kind of working together a little bit better?
It'd be nice.
Or does he tread a little tread a little softer?
Yeah, I mean, as a House Speaker, you're supposed to be the leader of the House.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, with that being said, I mean, if you're if it only takes one person to vacate you, you're going to tread very, very lightly.
Very lightly.
I mean, yeah, you're going to make sure that you're trying to please every individual that you possibly can. So, and it's interesting that he wanted to be speaker so bad. It's just, I don't know if that has to do with potentially going into 2024 with Trump or what that might have to. I don't know why.
I don't know. I would obviously think that it's for future political gain.
Of course.
But if you I think he might have shot himself in the foot with that too.
Yeah.
Because now he's shown himself to be a leader who's willing to compromise everything to get to where he wants to be.
Right. He wanted to be speaker back in 2015, I think, when Boehner left, and then they got Paul Ryan.
Yep.
McCarthy wanted speaker then. Yeah, but like Manny said, I think he's just obsessed with the title.
Yeah. And so Manny comes in also saying, sure, but who does it? Is it the people that fall in line, or is it the same people that already stood against you? Which, the more extreme side of the Republicans, which is a good point. So,
Yeah.
who's gonna, like who follows that line, and who's gonna actually follow his leadership? Which, if I'm not mistaken, too, just random fact, but the House Speaker is also the third one in line to be president, correct? Because it
It's
goes
president,
Vice,
Vice
and
President,
then
House.
House, and then Senate leader,
I'm not sure where it goes after that.
I think.
I know that there's like
There's
it's
like
all
12
outlined.
different
Yeah.
positions. Yeah.
Just in case like
It goes
something
to
took
me
a bunch
next.
of them off.
Yeah.
I'm next in line.
Now, one thing I will say is, in watching all these speeches and things like that coming out of this multiple voting cycle for this position, one of the things that I did really like was all the speech about returning the House to the people. Getting back to a place where Americans felt like the representatives had Americans' interests at heart.
Right.
I did see a weird statistic that no matter what the American opinion is, it doesn't influence Congress's vote at all. Like
Interesting.
something like term limits, which overwhelmingly Americans want.
Yeah.
It's like 87% of Americans are like all for term limits,
Term limits.
and it's negative. It's never been. It's
Even
never
discussed.
affected the vote of Congress. So, and then there's other things that there's like the bottom 20% of Americans just do not want this.
Right.
And then like 20% of Americans are saying, yeah, okay, we want this. But the other 80% are saying no. And it still doesn't affect what Congress does.
Right.
So it's so hard because I am such an optimistic person. And I'm such a person that wants to see people just do what they say they're going to do.
You'd like to.
That I want to believe all these people that stood up and made these speeches about how we need to return the House people. It needs to be the people's house.
Right.
And I'm just so jaded now, though. I'm like, nah, that's all just talk.
Yeah,
That's all it is.
And because we haven't seen the action. We've
Maybe we
begged
will.
for it. Maybe we will now. Maybe who knows? This could change things.
One thing about the Freedom Caucus or the extreme side of the Republicans is maybe because we are starting to see that stuff start to trickle in,
Right.
it actually has the Republican Party do something.
Right.
Because they can't just get by with just saying no to everything. Because the Republican Party has traditionally just been the party of no.
Yeah.
So maybe with this extreme side coming in, maybe they do push the agenda a little bit. Because Lord knows the extreme left side has pushed the agenda quite a bit.
Quite a bit, I'd say.
So
yeah.
now this extreme right side may start pushing the pendulum, kind of getting it to swing back
Hopefully
a little more
balance it
to
a
the
little
middle,
bit, yeah.
and kind of balance it out a little bit. So, this
Yeah.
might not be a bad thing. We'll see.
I won't disagree with that extreme left side. One of the things that we didn't talk about, where was it, Stu, that we were just talking? Illinois, that just signed an assault weapons ban. Yeah, in Illinois. So, those are the kind of concerns that we need to talk about, and that is pretty extreme. Where it's not one of the topics we're talking about tonight, and kind of going off topic. Yeah, but like you said, I think the extreme left has had a lot of influence here recently, and whether it's the social aspects of our country or
Well, I mean, look at the Twitter files that are
the
dropping.
Twitter files dropping is huge. I mean, it really
It's
does
really
show
uncovering.
that you
Yeah.
can buy your way through politics.
Well, not even that. It's also showing that the extreme left side. I'm not going to say the left side because that's generalization, but the extreme left side has a grip on the left side.
Right.
And because of that grip, they're getting the government to actually infringe on the First Amendment by banning all these people on Twitter because they didn't like what they were saying.
Right.
Like, free speech is free speech. You can't incite violence and you can't, yell fire in a movie theater, but you should be able to put your opinion out there. You should be able to say whatever you want. I don't care
agree.
what the topic is. I don't care if it's COVID. I don't care if it's race. I don't care if it's religion. I don't care if it's politics. You have your right to your opinion according to the First Amendment of the Constitution. So why is the government stepping in? I mean, if it was a private business, that's a little different based
Right.
on their rules and regulations. They're not, under the First Amendment. They don't have to follow those things according to their business model. But when the government is stepping in and saying, ban this person, ban that person, ban this person, and it happens to be all right side of the aisle people that they're banning, that's kind of, one, it's scary.
One, it's
Two,
very scary.
It just shows you that how far the government has actually swung left.
Right. And I still also, will argue, please make sure you get your information from other places on social media, because that hurts. You don't want to just get your info from social media, and that's why people become so misinformed, because misinformation spreads 6 times faster than real information. So you got to be careful. You just got to be very careful about how you find your sources and what you do out there. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Seeing that the left side of the government can buy and infringe upon the First Amendment rights of those on the right, I mean, that's concerning. Because again, you want a decent balance.
I want that pendulum to not be swinging anywhere.
Yeah,
I want
I'd like
sit
it to
right
just
here,
sit there,
baby.
yeah,
just don't move.
it'd be nice, but that takes a lot of work. But yeah, so that's where we're at with the House. Any other touching points on that, Stu? You got anything? No.
When are we gonna see the Bull Moose party come back? That's what I'm waiting for. Let's go, Teddy.
When are we going to see a lot? I would love to see multiple different parties, but
That would be great.
that's a different discussion.
There
for a
seems to be
different day.
always an overcorrection whenever there's something
Always.
done. The other side just, like you said, the pendulum, it just swings so far in the other direction. Just like an overcorrection.
Yeah, I mean, you have to, which makes sense, but it shouldn't be like that. It should just, like you said, stay in the middle.
Well, the reason for it is because the squeaky wheel gets the grease. I
Right.
mean, like, let's be real here. If and it's been the extreme left that has been the loudest squeak. I mean,
Recently,
it is,
yeah, 100%.
For the last, I would say, 6 years, the extreme left has been. I mean, actually, really, since Occupy Wall Street, the left, that side of the left, like that far left, has just been loud in your face about everything, and they've dictated and made all these new rules about everything,
And everything is correct.
yeah. I mean, you can't eat certain ways, you know what I mean?
I
Like,
know,
it's wild how, like, just in the last year or the last couple of years, how far we've seen this thing get pushed out here.
I agree.
So I am looking forward to the pendulum swinging back right a little bit. But again, to Stu's point, hopefully it's not like a
Overcorrects. and,
now
yeah.
we're way over here.
Yeah, way far
and it's
right.
complete anarchy.
Yeah, you just need that balance, and I hope we can find it. We'll get there. We'll get there. I believe that.
Just be ready, guys, because we're getting ready to enjoy a good 2-year period of like kind of central policy. I think
Policies for a little bit. Yeah.
maybe 3 years. We might
I
get
hope.
a 3-year period where it's swinging back, right? So we're just all kind of in the middle, like, hey, this is kind of nice.
Hey, this is nice. I'm enjoying today. George Santos. Let's talk about him and how he refuses to resign despite his political pressures. So, state and local Republican leaders in New York on Wednesday called for an immediate resignation of their new GOP Congressman George Santos, who is facing multiple investigations by prosecutors over his personal and campaign finances and lies about his resume and family heritage. His lies were not mere fibs. He disgraced the House of Representatives. Joseph Carrió Jr., chair of the Nassau County Republican Committee, said at a news conference, he's not welcome here at the Republican headquarters. Santos, swarmed by reporters at the Capitol on Wednesday, flatly rejected to call for the resign and said, "I will not." The call was an extraordinary rebuke of the freshman congressman whose election months ago flipped a Democratic-held seat and was initially one of the GOP's highlights of the November election. The denunciation by local Republicans also amps up the pressure on Republicans in Congress to rebuke or sideline Santos. Carrió and other Republicans said Santos deceived voters in the local GOP in Long Island's Nassau County, and they were particularly incensed by his lies about having Jewish ancestry. Republican Anthony D'Esposito, another Republican newly elected to represent Long Island, spoke at the news conference via video from Washington and joined Carrió's call for his colleague's resignation. George Santos does not have the ability to serve here in the House of Representatives and should resign. The state Republican Party joined the call a few hours later, and Chair Nick Langworthy saying in a statement that it was clear Santos cannot be an effective representative and it would be in the best interest of the taxpayers to have new leaders. So, I'm just going to leave it right there, and let's just talk about what would happen if the average American citizen got caught lying on a resume while they are working at their job. What happens?
Fired.
Gone.
You're fired.
I mean, it should be as simple as that, right? Now, I say that, but at the same time, how are you going to go along that re-election process? So even if he does resign, I mean, I'm sure they have, predecessors ready to step up, or people ready to step up in line after he gets fired or taken out. But
they probably have to have another election,
or would they have to have another election? That's the other question. Or would they have somebody that would they just do the second runner up? Would they of the Republican side, when before he actually was running for that, or would they just say, hey, this was his Democratic opposition, we're just going to go ahead and put that Democrat in, right? Like, I don't know what that procedure would look like. Manny, you might, just because you're a little more educated in that side of things, but I mean, I don't know how they would go about that. So interesting take there. But yes, I mean, I'm just going to go back and kind of full circle say what I have to say. If I'm caught lying on my resume, I'm fired. Same situation. Just as simple as that for me. I don't know about you guys. What do you think?
It's kind of funny, though. Further down in the article, it says, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy stood by Santos on Wednesday, saying that voters had made their choice. Yes, voters made their choice, but they made their choice based on lies.
Yeah, exactly. False information.
Yep.
Not factual. So, yeah, I don't know. Anything on that, Stu? You got any thoughts?
Don't people usually vote based on false information?
Ooh,
touche.
Hot take by Stu.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, once it comes out,
he's not wrong.
But he's not wrong. But once you actually have evidence that it was falsified information, at that point,
Yeah. My thing is,
excuse you.
where was like, you see like the smear ads. They look up every little detail of their the guy they're running against. Where was the people looking into this dude?
Obviously, the Democratic Party didn't do their homework.
I mean, yeah, I was going to say, I mean, obviously they missed out on some things, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Actually, you make a great point because they are really good about digging up anything on you. So how did this slip past the Democrats?
And like Manny said, it would
plan the whole time,
or was it? Yeah, right. And like
also
Manny
too,
said,
the people can look into it too.
right?
I mean, they can look up this guy.
Manny says it's a special election, so it would be a special election. So I guess, yeah, we'd have to see what happens if it actually came to that.
I want to see him not resign. I want to see him just stay there and just cross his arms and be like,
I'm not.
You can sideline me, but I'm still here, baby. I still have a vote. And just see what he does.
Wolf of Wall Street. I'm not leaving.
I'm not leaving.
I mean, yeah. So, I mean, interesting.
But that's just the stubborn in me talking.
Right,
so.
right. Now, granted, though, I feel like the people should have the ability to fire him. I think there should be a way to be like, hey, we found this new information. He
they do
clearly
have the right.
lied.
They do have a way to fire him in a couple
Not
of years.
until the next vote. Yeah, not until the next voting cycle. But again,
Well, you never know. Maybe he steps into the role and does well.
maybe. And
Not on his
maybe
resume, but like
his
maybe
experience
he
is
turns
worth-
out to be like what's that movie? Was it Rain Man? No, that's the wrong movie. That's the wrong movie. What's the movie where the guy? It was Pursuit of Happiness.
Yeah, with Will Smith.
where
Yeah.
he lies on his resume but gets hired and just happens to be brilliant at it.
And he's incredible, yeah.
Yeah, maybe
I mean,
maybe
well,
it's the same thing.
That could be the case argued for many people. But all I'm saying is,
We'll see.
if you lie as a normal individual going into the work world, you're going to get fired as soon as they find out. So just be prepared for that. We do not have the same kind of...
We do not condone lying or violence.
Low-key, it's kind of
on
funny.
this episode.
It's kind of funny that he snuck in there.
Santos?
Yeah.
It is kind of funny. I would have to agree with you there, Stu. Like, let's see how far we can push this. Oh, we made it!
Yeah, right. And I mean, now he's just like, yeah, I'm not leaving. So I mean, unless the people step up and start riding at his doorstep, I don't think anything's gonna happen.
I don't think anything's going to happen either. I think it's a big to-do about nothing.
Yeah, exactly. So
And I think he steps into his role. Maybe he gets sidelined. Maybe he doesn't get to serve on any committees or anything like that, but he still has a vote.
I mean, he knows how to lie, so he's got half of his job down already.
Oh, man.
Oh Yeah,
he
put
may
that in there.
He may be the best qualified.
Y'all are horrible. I love it. Oh man! All right. Anything else on Santos? No. we
U.S.
good there.
politics.
All right, so let's talk about the most disturbing and frustrating article I feel like we're going to talk about tonight. New guidance: use drugs and surgery early for obesity in kids. Children struggling with obesity should be evaluated and treated early and aggressively, including with medications for kids as young as 12 and surgery for those as young as 13. All right, I just want to stop right there. Like, seriously, is this what we're talking about now? We're not going to talk about a healthy exercise routine, maintaining a limited amount of technology, making sure that they're eating healthier foods, taking away added sugars, reducing the amount of carb intake, moving over to more natural foods, not processed. We're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about surgery. Seriously?
Nath,
And medicine?
have you seen the trend of recently getting kids to do all kinds of drugs and surgery on multiple different fronts?
Yeah, I mean,
Does this come as any surprise to you, friend?
And I mean, not really, but it's so frustrating.
It is absolutely frustrating, but this is what
this is our
happens when you
future
allow Big
generations.
Pharma to just run our country.
Yeah, we really have to consider the direction we're heading when we're starting to talk about medicating and surgically helping children at the age of 12 and 13. I mean, goodness, you're not even fully developed at that point. You're not even partially through puberty at that point. You are just maybe just starting to
Your voice might have
experience
cracked
puberty.
a couple times.
Yeah, maybe.
You might have had a high point.
And that's if you've even had that yet. And we're already talking about this. I'm going to go through the article just because that's what we do. But God bless.
My next question is, though, is how effective are these drugs and where can I get them?
Hey, exercise doesn't make Big Pharma money.
No,
Yeah.
it does not.
Preventative maintenance doesn't
It
make
does
big
make the
pharma
gyms
money.
a lot of money, though.
It does make gyms a lot of money. But at that age, 12 and 13, all you got to do is go outside and run around. I mean, ride a bike.
Maybe
do-
put
you know,
that on
Play a
TikTok.
rec sport or something.
anything.
I think this is where the biggest problem lies, and I see it all the time. I took my daughter out to lunch today, right? So we're out at lunch, and I'm looking around this restaurant, and there are 3 other families there.
Right.
And guess what those kids are doing?
Sitting on their phones or technology or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
I also think parents can be blamed for this too.
Absolutely.
That's where I was going with it. Parents, I think, have to bear this blame. Parents suck nowadays. I mean, it comes down to that. And I'm sorry to be so crude on that, but parents suck.
I mean, no,
Like,
parents do suck.
If
yeah.
you're sitting there and you can't, I understand, like, okay, yes, some kids are just unruly, but that's where discipline comes in. That's where, like, my kids are crazy.
Yeah.
My kids are
They're children.
off the wall.
They're
like,
children.
just energetic. They're like little me's. It's insane.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mom.
Yeah, right?
But
Sorry about
they
that.
are. They're just crazy. But you know what? When we go out in public, they are so well behaved
Yeah.
because we have disciplined them. We have instilled values into them that when we go out, we're representing our family.
Yeah.
So we're going to put our best foot forward.
Yeah.
And you know what? We don't get our phones out. We don't get tablets out. We don't do those things.
We talk.
We actually limit our kids to very little tablet time. Like my daughter, my oldest, she gets about an hour a week on tablet or screen time. Now we do let her watch movies, on Thursdays. That's movie night for her. But as far as tablets and stuff like that go, she has very little interaction, but we still do understand that we have to introduce those technologies to her because she is going to be using them as she
Right.
gets older. But now's not the time. Now's the time. She says, "Oh, Dad, I'm bored." I'm like, "Great, this is awesome."
Let's go shoot
And
a
she-
basketball.
No, and she's like, "Well, why do you say that?" I'm like, "Because now you get to use your imagination. Go outside and play in the road."
Yeah.
And I mean that by like, I live in a neighborhood. There's not a lot of traffic. I'm
that
just
is
kidding
so
about
funny.
that. But
That is so funny.
go play in the field. Go find a tree to climb.
Yeah.
Go find a tunnel to crawl into.
Yeah.
Like, and then come back. Don't get stuck in the tunnel. But
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, go do stuff.
Also, it's what they're eating.
Oh, it's a big part of what they're eating.
Oh, yeah,
because
sorry, I went
80% of
way
food-
off on a different page.
No,
But yeah,
I mean,
parents blame this. This is They're completely.
I love what you're saying though, because as a father, I mean, I'm not a father yet, but as you are
As a father,
No,
says the childless man over here.
You, as a father, are showing a great example to your
I try
child
to
of
be.
what to, and that's awesome because
No Mortal
again,
Kombat.
it takes getting outside and learning from. I mean, we used to ride bikes in the neighborhood, and you fell down, got a boo boo, you went home crying, and you were all right. I mean, but it's like these kids don't understand what it's like to even barely go outside anymore, and it's so disturbing.
I'm from the mean streets of Luray. I skateboarded all over that town.
Yep.
All over that town.
Skateboarded, rode bikes.
My mom had no clue. You know what my rule was when I was a kid? Be home when the streetlights come on.
Yep,
I'm
that's
like,
exactly
word,
what it was.
Mom,
And
I'm out.
But that's what it used to be like. And back in those days, it was, hey, go have fun, hang out in the neighborhood, go through town, whatever.
Go figure something out to do.
Be back at like when
If
the
my
lights
mom
come on.
only knew half the stuff, please, Mom, say you're not on this episode because, like,
We
I used
love
to go
you.
rock climbing. I was like down in the creek.
Yep.
We found caves that we
Yep.
probably shouldn't have been in.
Through
like,
rocks, did all sorts of
through
stupid
rocks.
stuff.
Like we had rock battles across the street. Like we'd throw rocks
Now
at
that
each
I never
other.
did.
Oh, dude, we got wild. But that's what kids should be doing. They shouldn't be sitting inside on a screen eating Cheetos,
I
getting
hear ya.
gargantuan, and then taking drugs to try to get rid of it.
Yeah.
That's just not cool.
I mean, I agree. And so real quick, touching up on Dawn's comment, the sicker the U.S. is, the happier and richer the government and Big Pharma are, which, I mean, completely agree
Bingo.
there. But, for sake of just following through as how the fact is always does it, we're going to go through the rest of this article.
Hit that article.
Let me go through the rest of it. The long-standing practice of watchful waiting or delaying treatment to see whether children and teens outgrow or overcome obesity. Oh, my goodness. On their own, only worsens the problem that affects more than 14.4 million young people in the U.S. Left untreated, obesity can lead to lifelong health problems, including high blood pressure, diabetes, and depression. Waiting doesn't work, said Dr. Iomama Enili, co-author of the first guidance on childhood obesity in 15 years from the American Academy of Pediatrics. What we see is a continuation of weight gain and likelihood that they'll have obesity into adulthood. For the first time, the group's guidance set ages at which kids and teens should be offered medical treatment, such as drugs and surgery. In addition to intensive diet, exercise, and other behavior and lifestyle interventions, said Enili, director of the Center of Healthy Weight and Nutrition at Nationwide Children's Hospital in Columbus, Ohio.
Nationwide is
On your side.
Oh, copyright.
Yo, copyright, can't do that. In general, doctors should offer adolescents 12 and older who have obesity access to appropriate drugs, and teens 13 and older severe obesity referrals for weight loss surgery. Those situations may vary.
That is so much.
I know. The guidelines aim to reset the inaccurate view of obesity as personal problem, maybe a failure of the person's diligence, said Dr. Sandra Hasinik, medical director for the AAP for Healthy Childhood Weight and co-author of the guidelines. This is not different than you have asthma and now we have an inhaler for you. I would say yes, it is.
Way different.
Way different.
Oh,
Young
hey, kid,
people,
go under the knife to get rid of some of that fat.
Young people who have body mass index, which isn't even a correct way of measuring somebody's weight, or obesity levels, index that meets or exceeds the 95th percentile for kids of the same age and gender are considered obese.
I thought that was part of the article there for a second, Dave. I was like, what?
No, that was just me. That was just me throwing it in there. Kids who reach or exceed that level by 120% are considered to have severe obesity. BMI is a measure of body size based on calculations of weight and height, which is incorrect because you need to go off calculations of muscle and body fat. That is the correct way of going about. Obesity affects nearly 20% of kids and teens in the U.S. and about 42% of adults, according to the CDC. The group's guidance takes into consideration that obesity is a biological problem and that the condition is a complex chronic disease, said Aaron Kelly, co-director of the Center of Pediatric Obesity Medicine in the University of Minnesota. Obesity is not a lifestyle problem. It is not a lifestyle disease, he said. It predominantly emerges in biological factors.
I disagree with that. I think that
Yeah, that's an interesting
I think that
take.
there are some people that
Dr. Yo Mama.
I saw that. That was good.
That's kind of
Dawn.
what it sounded like. Sorry, Dawn, I tried.
But I would say that there are a small percentage of obese people that have some sort of health issue that prevents them from being
like a
able to
thyroid
lose-
issue
Yeah.
or whatever the case may be.
However, I would say that the other 98% of people are either malnourished,
Yep.
they don't exercise,
Yep.
and for these kids, it's probably coming from the parents.
That's the problem.
They're giving them
parents.
Cheetos. They're giving them candy. They're letting them eat whatever they want, and then
Yep.
they're not making them go outside and play.
Yeah, and they're giving them things that. So again, if you go into your supermarket and you look at 80% of the food in your supermarket, it has 80% of it has added sugars. They give them soda. They give them, like you
Soda.
said, sugar,
Oh my God.
candy. I mean, do you like one soda can?
Has like 60 grams of sugar in
That's
it.
not even including the added sugars.
Yeah.
And that's where it's
No, I think a can of
so-
Coca-Cola has I think it's a total of 65 grams
Is
of
it?
sugar
I'd
with
have
added
to
sugars.
look, but like
But that's insane.
that's still insane because
But I do love Coca-Cola.
I haven't drank a soda in years. I'm not
Good
big
for
on
you,
it. I mean,
man.
I'll do a mixed drink here and there, but I'm not big on it.
I don't drink a lot of soda, but
Right.
when I do, I enjoy it.
You enjoy it. I know some people like to do like the Coke Zeros or the Sprite.
Oh no, give me
Sprite
that Coke
Zeros
OG.
and stuff, yeah.
I want that Coke OG. I want it to
like
be
back
so
when they
sticky.
had cocaine in it.
I want it to be so sweet it makes my teeth sticky.
You're crazy. But
But
yeah,
I only do
so-
that like once a month, so I can get away with it.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, so when it comes to sodas, added sugars, things of that nature, I mean, that's why children are becoming obese. Again, like you said, maybe
Cheetos.
1 to 2%.
I guarantee Cheetos. Are on that
Cheetos,
list.
Oreos, like 1 to 2% might be some sort of biological issue, and I can agree with that. But the rest of it falls on the nutrition, the parents, and just their overall lifestyle. I completely disagree with this article.
When I have conversations with people and they're like, "Oh, I'm depressed," I'm like, "Oh, how much water are you drinking?
Yeah, right.
How much exercise are you getting? How much sunlight are you standing in?
Yep.
Like, how often are you outside?"
Yep.
And if their answer is like, "Well, I don't do those things," I'm like, maybe
There's
that's the
your
first place
issue.
to start. Because you would be amazed, even on a cold day, you just go out and you stand and you just sit there and look at the sun, close your eyes. Like, don't actually look at the sun. That's bad for your eyes, guys. Don't do that.
Don't do that. We do not advise.
We do not condone sun watching. But if you just go outside and stand in the sun, like all of a sudden your mood just lifts.
Yep.
Like, it's amazing. And then
100%.
oh man, you go out and you do a little bit of workout. And I understand if you are obese, a little bit of a workout means maybe just getting out and walking.
It can be. And that's okay.
the start. That's the
okay.
start. Actually, one of the best fat burning things that you can do is walk on a
Walking.
small incline for 30 minutes a day.
Yeah.
And you'll melt fat off.
Swimming, walking on incline are two of the greatest ones that I know of.
Yeah. And so and you would be amazed at how good you feel after those activities.
I agree.
Clean diet too.
Clean diet.
Clean diet's-
helps.
It starts there.
Actually, it's about 95% of it.
I was going to say, because most people, when they go to lose weight, you can exercise for an hour a day, 5 days a week, but unless
But if
you
you're
have that
and taking
diet,
6,000 calories, it ain't going to do
Exactly.
nothing for you.
It just ain't gonna do
Especially if them
nothing.
calories are bad.
That's right. And
Now, if
yeah.
it's good calories like proteins and things like that, it might not be too bad depending on your body type.
Yeah. And it is. I will
But
say
Cheetos ain't going to do it.
It's
Oreos
hard.
ain't going to do it.
It's hard to navigate this world with the nutritional values, because right now it's carbs are bad, sugars are bad, everything, all that's bad. Well, that's not true. Complex carbs are your energy. You need carbohydrates for energy to be able to perform in the gym if you're going to be working out.
Talk to me, Nave.
But you also got to make sure you're not taking in too many carbs.
Talk to me, Nave.
Sugars are good naturally. Not your processed sugars.
Talk to me,
You know what I
Nave.
mean? I mean, it's such a hard world
You
to
want some
balance
sugar?
around.
Eat an apple.
Fat is good for you
Give me
certain
ribeyes.
ways,
I love ribeyes.
but saturated fat is not
Terrible.
good for you. Trans fats.
Talk to me, Nave.
So it's like, there's things to talk about, and it's a very confusing world right now, and it's hard to find out what's right and what's wrong.
This is where this is. Ooh, I might hit a little hot take here. Hot take. When everybody was up in arms about the V word that is used to in your arm there. I don't want to say it because I don't want to get us taken down. But when there was
vaccinations,
that's the word. Now we're gonna get taken down. Thanks, Dave. But no, when there was a big, fuss about that, they were like, "Oh, it's FDA approved." I'm like, "Well, so is half or all of this food that we have in here that has literal poison in it." You can't tell me that the FDA is doing their job by allowing all the sugar to be in everything, all these chemicals that literally are poisoning people slowly. Or in some cases, quickly.
For those of you that don't know what he's talking about, look up Red 6, Yellow 3, Blue,
Red 45,
Red 45.
Yeah, all these dyes that are
the dyes and crap.
Completely linked to cancer.
Yep.
And then you go to some place like Europe, and they don't have any of this crap on the shelves because they don't allow it.
Yeah.
And here our FDA is allowing it, and then people are saying, "Well, you should trust the FDA." No, I shouldn't.
No, I should not.
No, I should not.
And you also, per our population, you also wonder why we're number one in obesity compared to European countries, Japan, and that's another good point. Look at Japan. The basis, the main staple of their diet is carbohydrates, rice. They eat so much rice, and because it's complex carbs and noodles, and that's what I'm saying. So when you're, I
love some sushi though. Good God, you got me hungry.
I do love some sushi. Ooh. Goodness gracious.
Look,
Stop it. All right, y'all are getting me hungry. Y'all are getting me hungry.
What's your favorite sushi? Sorry, that's not the fact. The fact is, I do love some crab sushi. I'm not gonna lie.
But yeah, so I mean, I think we've all touched up on some really good points here. Does anybody else have any kind of closing thoughts on this?
Yeah, you should not be sending your kids to get under the knife
at 13 years old.
For anything. Well, I don't care if it's obesity. I don't care if they're trying to change their gender. I don't care if they're. The only time they should be under the knife is if they have a required surgery because they
life-saving surgery.
Yeah, broke their arm, appendix, something like that.
Something like that.
Your kid at age 13 should never see the inside of a surgical room.
I can agree with that.
Unless it's absolutely necessary.
I agree. Stuart?
Put your health first.
Put your health first.
It matters.
Def reset.
That's right.
Def reset.
Also, read some books.
Oh my goodness, please read some books.
Oh, says the guy who doesn't read books.
I've been reading chapter a night.
What you been reading?
It's the science of good and evil, and also the dichotomy of leadership by John.
Dr. Seuss.
Ooh.
No, it's not Dr. Seuss. But yeah, and then
one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish. I got that one done last night.
Yeah. No, but I've been reading about a chapter a night. I've been trying to get better.
Do you have a book goal this year?
I have a book goal of at least 10.
10?
At least.
Okay, so
coming from a guy who's read maybe one in the past 4 years. Yeah.
That's good. Stu, you got a book goal this year?
I don't have a goal, but I'm reading more.
Nice.
I've already passed my goal from last year.
Nice.
There you go.
I didn't have a goal last year, but I've read more this year than last year.
Right.
Dude, my wife is going psycho mode this year when it comes to reading.
Is she?
Oh, dude, she's I think she's going to try to knock down like 50 plus books.
My girlfriend last year totaled a total of 71 books.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Now, granted, and we've had this discussion as well. I know it's completely off topic.
It's not a nerd, man. You got to think about she is literally matrix downloading like information.
Well, so what she reads are more like, fiction books. She likes to read, like whether it be like Harry Potter or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? Not that, but those type-esque books. Whereas I'm trying to read books that will teach me, that will about leadership skills, life development, like personal growth, so there is a difference, I would say, in those books because I like to read it and I like to have discussions about it and truly try to understand what I'm hearing in the book. Whereas hers are more like, this wife and husband had this, and but they're detective stories and they're really, really good things. So
one thing I will say, if you are trying to read more. One thing that has worked really well for me, you generally average about 15 books a year. And the last one I just read to finish up 22 was 48 Laws of Power. Well, Nafe is on a safari right now. He's doing something he's doing things with the stuff.
We're good.
Oh, there he comes back across.
Yep. Walks right in front of you.
Right in front of me. But No. One of the rules that I've set for myself that has worked really well in helping me digest books is you have 4 categories. You have like a pleasure read, which not sex stuff, guys. Get your mind out of the gutter.
I went there.
But like a pleasure book, like a Harry Potter, or like a I don't know, Rainbow Six or something like that. Something that's like a fictional story that's just gonna get you happy. A self-help book, whether that be learning how to build a skill or building lifestyle changes or whatever. A book that helps you develop as a speaker in some way, shape, or form. Look, guys, I'm holding it together right now. I don't know. But like a book that helps you develop like people skills, and then a book that teaches you something about the world.
And you said 48 Laws of Power. I actually have that one down to read as well.
Be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a scary book.
I've heard about that one. I think it's like The Richest Man in Babylon. I've had a couple of different ones that I'm looking to.
That 48 Laws of Power book, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like I read the first chapter and I put it down for almost the whole year, and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna read that one because it was terrifying.
Was it?
Oh man, I see the world in such a different lens now.
Yeah.
Like I see power plays everywhere. I see like even people that don't know they're doing it. I see them doing it, and I'm like, oh my god.
Like and it probably teaches you how to read people better.
Manipulation, like just oh my god, it's such a scary book.
Interesting.
Because it literally teaches you how to put people in like different positions so that they don't know that they are doing your bidding.
Right. That's interesting.
It's wild. Yeah, Dawn, for sure.
Definitely. And then Dawn came in talking about the Bible as well. And,
yeah, I mean, she's absolutely right too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great book to teach you a lot about philosophy and life. I mean, really truthfully, whether you're religious or not. So is the Quran. I don't know if
the Quran.
I've read the Quran, and that's a very interesting book. I mean, it opens your eyes to a lot of different things.
Just educate yourself in general.
Those things go into. I mean, the reason I brought that up is because it does go into your physical well-being.
Right.
That is if you're reading books and you're reading how to get better in life and you're doing something that is constantly stimulating your brain, you are going to be healthier.
I agree.
It's just going to happen.
Yeah.
So I encourage people to read. Like read.
Yep. I agree.
Also, another good one for you, Psycho-Cybernetics. Bro.
Put that in my phone as soon as we're done.
It teaches you
here.
how to rewire your brain.
Ooh.
It's pretty dope.
I do like that. I have one that is from Joe Dispenza that I'm supposed to read. I can't remember the title of it. I'll have to look at something supernatural or something like that. But
if you really want to get scared by the end of the year, check out Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. Oh my god.
Interesting.
No, that one's creepy. Bro.
I need to get some of your books off you as well after this.
They're the stuff,
they're
man.
The jive.
They are the jive. Because like you just learn so much. You really do. You do. And read health books too.
Yeah, health books are also good.
You'd be surprised at how fast you can start to lose weight. It takes about 6 weeks and you start seeing differences. So people, be healthy. Don't send your kids to the surgeon.
Please don't. Or put them on medication.
How do you guys feel about audiobooks?
Audiobooks are good. I mean, especially for like I listen to podcasts a lot and I'm able to digest it pretty well that way.
Audiobooks, I read them or I listen to them at 1.25 speed.
I listen to podcasts at 1.5, 1.8, depending on how slow they're talking.
Yeah, I'm just trying to download the information.
Yeah, and because I remember the other day we were talking, you can actually comprehend that information still. Like I've been listening to John Berthnell with Joe Rogan. That's my most recent episode I'm on right now.
Oh, dude, I listened to that the other day.
And he was talking about like when he was in Russia and the girl got taken out the car and he like ran over saying, "What are you doing?" He goes,
like,
"Leave."
Go away.
Yeah, or like whatever he said. And I was like, wow. so yeah,
man, Bernthal also did a podcast with Shia LaBeouf.
Oh,
who was he's like Hollywood's not touching Shia LaBeouf right now, and for good reason.
Yeah.
But that was insane to hear. Like I listened to the whole thing. It's a 2-hour podcast,
right? And
it's insane to hear the journey that dude's been on.
Interesting.
So, but yeah, sorry, we're getting a little off topic here right at the end. But it's just kind of just trying to bring it back full circle, man. In order to be healthy, you need to have a lot of different aspects of your life under your control. And the only way to do that is to get control of your mind. That's why I brought up books, because that's how you do it.
Not only that, but you also, parents, please be present in your child's life. Stop letting them sit on technology for 6 to 12 hours a day
TikTok
and just doing whatever you know what I mean? Like, stop letting them just make their own decisions at the age of 10, 12, whatever it may be. They don't understand consequences of doing that stuff, and you as an adult should. So please make sure you're present in your child's life, because we are seeing more and more of that not being true, and it's destroying the next generation.
What's wild is we're starting to get the first bits of information and feedback on the effects of social media on society, and it's not looking good
at all. At all.
Yeah, it's not looking good.
But anyways, so yeah, I guess that kind of wraps up for today's episode. It was a fantastic 108th episode. You know, we touched up on a lot of good points. You know, this last one was probably my favorite, just because, like you all, I mean, obviously we saw how off track we got, but I mean, it was worth it, because we're talking about how to take care of you, how to take care of your children, and what we can do to better ourselves as human beings. So,
yeah.
To everybody who jumped in today, Manny, Dawn, Dean, and Wendy, thank you all so much for commenting and bringing into the discussion. We really, really, really appreciate that, and it's always good carrying on discussions with you all.
You guys make the podcast so much more entertaining when people jump in. They start opening that discourse with us and really contributing to the podcast.
They do. Everybody who contributes and comments and talks to us and you know, is able to come in here and just kind of challenge us, even like with Manny challenging us, or you know, being able to help us with information, you know, that is awesome, and that's what we like to do here. You know,
I feel like I have to like crack a political science book every time Manny's in here. I'm like, oh no, I'm way underqualified to talk to this guy.
Yeah, I think I'm wrong on this one. Yeah, because it's, you know, it's nice to hear those opinions, and it's nice to hear from somebody who's in, you know, like going through this process right now to actually go into the government and help us out. So thank you again, Manny, for what you do there. I do want to end the episode a little bit differently. You know, I feel like there's things that we don't give enough attention to. So I just want to say thank you to all law enforcement. Thank you to all first responders. Anybody who is serving for here in America, anybody who works for Origin USA, love them. Jocko Wilnick, you know, of course, healthcare workers are huge as well. So thank you to all of those who actually serve society and are looking to do better things for people in America. So
you're the real ones.
Yeah, seriously, thank you. But also, just thank you to everybody who joined us. Thank you to everybody who follows us. Thank you for letting us do what we do, because we love it so much. This is just what we enjoy doing. So
we appreciate you guys. And, you know, that's something that I wanted to touch on a little bit, is appreciation. That's one of my big things that I'm trying to focus on
2023.
You know, I appreciate the opportunity of getting to sit here with you guys every Wednesday and do
Beautiful.
this. And then I also appreciate everybody who comes in and shares with us and talks with us and everything like that. And, you know, one of the things I will like to leave off with is let other people know that you appreciate them. You don't know how much that can impact somebody's life. So, yeah, appreciate you guys. Love you guys. And we'll see you next week.
Yeah. So
take us off, Nate.
For the 108th episode, thank you all for coming in. Please make sure that you all share and like on all of our different socials. We are on everything: Rumble, YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, Facebook, you name it. Soon maybe be Twitter. We'll see what happens there.
Oh.
But thank you all.
Also, we got some changes coming down the pipeline.
We do have some changes. Next week, you all will be seeing a new setup. The fact is, it's moving over to a new studio, a little bit more space, a little bit better camera angles. We're going to be working on that this week.
Might even work on some lighting.
Maybe even some lighting. We got a couple things in the works, and we're going to continue to make this better. So with that being said, please make sure you all share this. Share it with everyone. Share it with those that you agree with, but more importantly, share it with those you disagree with, because here at The Fact Is, we do believe that we all have more in common than what we don't. So with that being said, this was the 108th episode of The Fact Is podcast. We were your host, Nate Moses.
And I'm Ryan Mays.
And we had Mr. Stewie in behind the scenes. Thank you, sir. Can't say that we appreciate you enough, man. So thank you all so much. And we look forward to seeing you all next week for the 109th episode at our new location. See you all then.
Peace.